The year is 1994. The game is XCOM. UFO Defense. Alright, let's skip all that shit. Welcome back to the reset button. I'm Debbie. We're going to play the Xcom Files. It is a total conversion for XCOM, Open XCOM. Actually, there's a difference. I've made a few changes to the game to make it easier for me in particular, because I'm useless. I'm playing on experience, and I'm not Iron Manning, but I promise I won't save scum the battles, just the geoscape. I super duper promise. Anyway, so the Xcom Files is a total conversion that makes XCOM like the X-Files. So it's agents going across the world, fighting dudes. I know a smattering of information about this total conversion, but honestly not enough to mean I'm cheesing it or anything. But let's see if we can figure out where to put our first base. That said, Open XCOM is a free engine program rebuild of the XCOM game system. You see how smooth that is right there? That's my middle mouse button, and I'm dragging. Look how smooth it is. Look how smooth and delicious all of it is. Anyway, there's a whole lot of other quality of life changes. But let's discuss tactics. Well, strategy. Logistics. Only amateurs study tactics. Real warriors study logistics. So what we have to discuss here is what is the most efficacious place to place our base here. Now, there is not, insofar as I have seen, radar outside of that inner cone. I also haven't seen any radar facilities built in any of the bases. I played like a couple hours, but I didn't get very far because I suck at this game, and all other games, but mostly this one. And I haven't seen any attack craft either, so there's that. That being said, it's time to make a decision. We can either focus on Europe and the northern part of Africa, China, Japan, Australia over here, India included. I mean, that's all Asia right there, most of Russia there, and I guess Russia's a pretty big funder. Funding is still a thing, by the way, right now. But nobody takes you seriously. The background story is that the world is beset by supernatural weirdness. Think the X-Files. Somebody sees a weird creature in the sewers in, like, Detroit killing people, but it's the only one on the planet. So where'd it come from? What's the background story? It's a mystery. That's what our agents are going out to find. And die. They will pretty much all die if it's anything like the original. Like I said, haven't really gotten that far. But I think we're going to take care of Europe and North Africa, and I will go to a very historically interesting place. Whereas Rome, all roads lead to Rome. Before there was Rome, there was Carthage, and that's where we're going to put our thing. It was right, historically, right on the north of Tunis here in Tunisia, and that's what we're going to name it. Carthage, or how the Romans would have pronounced it. Let's name it something vaguely Latin. Dia Carthago. Day of Carthage. I've also activated the custom first base because it pisses me off every time I look at the vanilla one. Even though the reasons why it pissed me off are not reasons that probably make any difference in the XCOM files. So, access lift, right there. Hangar here. Hangar here. Corridor, in case we have to, I don't know, blow it up or something. XCOM headquarters, we're going to put here. Prison cells, these are things I'm never going to destroy. Animal pen and gym. But the general stores and the living quarters, I might actually get rid of that. Which side, which side, which side? This side. So let's go meet our agent. Obviously, the hangar's where we park our car. So there's that. We'll get to hopefully most of the mechanics as we play through together. But let's start with the very basics. One, I made a couple changes to the open Xcom files in order to make things a little easier based on my previous interactions with this game and how I horribly lost them. I was playing on beginner and got my ass handed to me, but then again, the random number generators don't generally like me anyway. That being said, I changed some of the minimum stats. I essentially added about 15 to 20 to most of them based on their relative strength, and I increased the caps so that we will hopefully not see anything crazy overpowered to start with, but I'm not changing it. For one, and two, the caps are increased so that if we do get any superpowered characters, they stay alive, because even in the vanilla base game, unless you have most hits, if anything hits you, it's going to kill you unless you have armor that negates the damage. If you have power armor, a Glock is not going to do anything to you unless they crit or something. But if you're not wearing armor and you get hit by a pea or a laser or a plasma bolt, all of them will kill you with equal chance. I've looked into the mechanics. It's kind of crazy. So this is just giving me just a little bit of an edge. So let's take a little peek underneath the hood. Let's look at our agents. We have... Oh, I also changed it. So, see, the original game has a 25% chance of getting a female soldier and a 75% chance of getting a male soldier. So I changed that to 50-50 to reflect our modern day. It's 2019. So this is Jacob. Whew. Okay, excuse me. Whistled right into the mic there. Bravery's pretty high. Uh-oh. He rolled really well, didn't he? So he has almost the max time units you can get in the vanilla game. Okay, it's overpowered. I'm not changing it. And how it works is time units, stamina, health, and strength are, how to put it, secondary stats. Those stats will go up anytime you make any action. If you're in a battle and you throw an object, oh wait, no, throwing is the odd one out. If you fire your gun at nothing, you have a chance of your time unit, stamina, health, and strength going up. All the other stats, bravery reactions, firing, throwing, and melee, those are primary stats. Those go up by doing those things. So if you want to get better at shooting somebody, shoot them. If you want to get better at reacting, you have to put yourself in situations where you can react to things. If you want to throw better, here's the other thing. All of these, the bravery, reactions, firing, and melee, those will increase secondary stats, time units, stamina, health, and strength. Throwing will not. Throwing is a useless, generally useless skill, and it only increases itself. The caps are actually quite low on a number of these stats, which is also why I increased them. Your time units really cap out around 80. I apologize for that, but I'm changing it again. Okay, so they're better in some ways, worse in others. They're pretty similar. Let's see, a Turkish person named Sinim. I think that's Turkey. And a Canadian named Jacob. Alright, Jacob. Alright, let's do this. Oh. You may have seen me put down a gym earlier. Let's talk facilities. You know what? Before we actually do anything, let's talk facilities. This is an access lift. It's how your guys get into your base. This is a corridor. It's just a generic thing. Don't worry about it too much. I probably should have put that in a corner so I could delete it. But living quarters and storage, those are where your people live. This is where we keep stuff. This is the XCOM headquarters. That is essentially our command center, and it's also where some very basic research takes place. Certain research topics are unlocked by having certain facilities installed. There's a biolab which allows you to do biological research. The XCOM headquarters does not allow you to do a lot of biological research. You can still do things like autopsies and that kind of thing, but it's very basic. If you need to do any extra stuff, you need to build extra facilities. This is the prison cells when you capture live people and things. This is where they go. If you capture or kill an animal, something that's considered non-human or I suspect alien, they go in the animal pen. If you want to work out, that's the gym. You keep cars in a hangar. I guess this is a pretty expensive car, even though it's really not, because it only costs $15,000. Oh my goodness. And what this essentially means is you don't actually own the car. What this means is your agents take a flight. Essentially, the in-game mechanics, your agents take a flight to the place they're going to go in the geoscape. So let's say they go from Dia Carthago down to Atlanta. So what they do is, it's going to show it going in a straight line. But essentially the speed of the car is an abstraction of the actual time it would take to drive from Tunis to the nearest international airport, fly to another international airport with better facilities, down all the way to Washington, and then down to Atlanta, and then get a car, public transport, or rent a car from like rent-a-car, and then drive to where they need to go. It's slow because that is not the fastest way to get there. The fastest way to get there would be to have a frickin' Sky Ranger take off from Carthage and go all the way to Atlanta straight there without bothering with any of the transport problems that we'd run into using public transport and whatnot. So this is just an abstraction. We don't actually probably have the car here, but it does cost us money to buy it. I guess that's a couple tickets a month, the equivalent, and there's a maintenance fee on top of it. We do have the option to get a Mud Ranger. It's essentially a Sky Ranger, but it's more of a hovercraft, and its range just is the most awful thing ever. To start with, we're going to grab a couple agents because it's always nice to have backup. I'm going to get a couple taser pistols against my better judgment. The firing accuracy on them is abysmal. Oops. I have fat fingers. And we'll grab 12. We have enough electric clubs. I'm never ever going to use combat knives, I don't think. Although I may come to regret that, I don't know. But we already have a Glock 18. We're not going to really do anything other than that. I might grab that many extra clips. And we should have, small shotgun. I'm going to grab a couple of those. One extra of those. Alright, we'll do that. I don't want to go overboard and use up a butt ton of my money. I don't know what I'm so worried about. I'm only using about 8% of it. Flashlights are ridiculously expensive. I'm going to grab a couple of electro flares. Maybe a couple of extra. Nah, we recover them every time. We have enough med packs. They're really expensive. And maybe just a couple fire extinguishers just to have around the base. These items may or may not be obvious to what they do. But we're going to have to discuss that next episode. I'm sorry that this was mostly just me talking about the game and not actually doing anything. But hopefully that'll change next episode. I appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me for the last 15 minutes. And I'll see you next episode. Adios.